secret of the short vowel sounds, like you've all seen earlier, we mentioned we'll be talking about that today, and I'm pretty much excited to have you all on the call today or in the session. So we're gonna go through one of the biggest mistakes a lot of people make when they learn conversation. We'll be talking about that today, and I'm pretty much excited to have you all. Sorry, we're talking about how this would work and how people are actually making the same mistake over and over again to help themselves recite fluently, but they're actually falling the trap and not able to get results as well, despite many years and years and years of learning. So stay tuned with me today and get your notebook so we can actually learn and dive into this together. One of the main concepts of the Tajweed, which a lot of people do not realize that it needs to be learned from the onset, is the concept of the short vowel sound. And so if you've been with me here recently, or it's been a week or a year, if you have a child that's currently learning or that's ready to start learning, we'll have a kids program that they'll have live sessions to join and learn and practice within the Quran themselves in just 4 months. So if this is a goal that you have in mind, the program is there for a child. But if you're an adult or someone that's really busy, that's not having time to commit, or you cannot school your schedule that much, we do have an adult course that was just created recently. So it's a self-paced. It might be good for kids as well, but the parents will have to monitor them. That one is just for $47, so you can sign up into that. So everything I'll be talking about today, we'll already summarize them into those learning portal, and I'm going to show you quickly how it looks like. This is the course. Okay, it's called the Quran Fluency Accelerator. So if you sign up, you see the link below this video. Just check it out. It's $47. You get lifetime access to all the courses, but it's not live. It's gonna be a self-paced one. So you'll be able to watch the video of each module, take the quiz and take the practice and everything. So we have almost 10 modules there for you to practice with. Plus you have extra bonus modules. So this course entirely will take anyone who's a beginner to recite the Quran. And we do have a tracking system that's already embedded there. But the thing here is that you will need to do the work yourself. For $7, you have access only to the to the course content and all the things we'll be talking about in the program. You have access to. So just kind of like give you all insight if you're just joining me today and you really want to learn to recite the Quran, but something else is preventing right now. So you get that link below this video later on today, so you can actually check it out and sign up. So let's go to the topic of discussion. So if you have a child that's with you right now, have them get a notebook. Last 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, we've talked about the letters. We took 3 weeks analyzing how the letters of the Quran look like, their shapes, and most importantly, last week we went ahead and talked about did a quiz practice. We did some practice in the classroom, identifying the difficult Quran letters, which a lot of people really find it hard to identify when we recite the Quran. So people they recite the Quran, but guess what? They struggle a lot. They stammer. They have what I call Quran recitation jam. So if you are having a Quran recitation jam, you get stuck when you're reciting Quran. You need to figure out the letters yourself. So go check my video live sessions from last week and last upper week, and 2 weeks ago, maybe all the ones we did in January. We started again the curriculum as our own tradition. So every year we actually go through the entire curriculum of Tajweed within 4 months, and so like maybe 2, 3 times in a year actually do that right away. So we are actually starting a new one. So if you're really getting started, stay tuned and be with me today for the entire duration of the next 20 minutes so we can learn together, inshallah, the concept of the short vowel sound. And it might sound something a lot of people like, yo, what's the meaning of short vowel sound? In the Quran, they are sound system. So you have the letters, you have the short vowel sound, you have the long vowel sound. You also have the elongation, you have the nonation, you have the doubling. All these terminologies have names in Arabic, but the good thing about our program here is we're able to actually analyze all these things in very simple English for English speaking kids or students that actually understand English more. Of course, because we have students who understand other languages, but we actually teach only using English, right? So look at the screen here. I shared that earlier. There are three short vowel sounds in the Quran. There are three short vowel sounds in the Quran. So many of you might have heard of that before. And you're like, what's a short vowel sound? These are called the harakats, right? They're called the harakats. So there are three of them. So you might have heard of fatha, kasra, dhamma, right? So those are called the short vowel sound. They look so simple to understand, but they have some complexities that we'll look into today, inshallah. Uh, Many kids who are learning to recite the Quran, unfortunately, the teachers will just recite this to them. Oh, alif, fataha, ba, fatiha, ba. That's not how to learn. A kid, of course, will learn that and they eventually memorize them. They don't understand how to do it themselves. They only memorize what the teacher has said to them. So instead of actually having to memorize those things, they need to learn to understand the basics. So we need to learn to understand the basics. It's not just about cramming, memorizing. That will not last for long. But whatever you understood very well and very detailed, you able to teach other people and you able to explain yourself if the time comes to do that. So these are the three short vowels, and you see, it's the second module in our program. And what we do in the program here is we don't have students start spelling ba fata ba, ba kesra b. They learn the phonetics right away. So any sound that has the fatha is a sound, right? Any sound that have the kesra is e sound. The dhamma sound is the u or o sound, right? Depending on the kind of letter. Some letters are called the heavy letters, which we'll learn later on. So instead of them being they're gonna be o, right? Like to. Like the letter to, for instance, whenever it has a fatha, it's not gonna be ta, right? To, whenever a to has a fatha, it's not gonna be ta, it's gonna be to, because it's a heavy letter. It's harf al-khafdi. The harf al-khafdi are called the heavy letters, so they are pronounced with a round mouth. Okay, so the kesra sound will give a or e sound in some scenarios, and also the u or o sound. So let's go into each of these one after the other. Okay, time might not permit us to go through everything, and that's why I said you have access to our Quran Fluency Accelerator course. You can check later on today. The link is going to be put into this below this video, and you'll be able to get access to that entire course, and you'll be able to do your quizzes, able to do your practice, and able to watch the video in detailed, in high quality videos are recorded. And so you'll be able to get through that, take the quiz and take the practice. Because if you've been here before, I told you there are three things to learn, to learn. You're not just coming here to learn, you need to do practice, you need to do homework. So if you sign up to the Quran Fluency Accelerator course, you're able to do that yourself. Okay? And for your child, if you want to enroll your child as well, it's just $47 for that one. It's self-paced, no teacher is going to be live with you. You don't want to actually go create yourself. Okay? So let's talk about the first one, which is the short vowel sound fatha, the R sound. And you see it's so pretty basic. And at this point, once students are in this module in our program here, they're already able to identify all the letters in different shapes. So in the kind of different forms the letters of the Quran could come, all students must be able to identify before we even come to this module here. So and one thing I mentioned last 2 weeks or a week ago, I talked about the difference between the alif and the hamza. Alif and hamza are two different letters. Okay, they are two different letters. They have different makhraj, meaning articulation points. They come from different part of the throat, of the mouth. The alif is a letter of med that's used for elongation, right? The hamza is a letter on its own that comes from the bottom of the heart. The bottom of the throat. Okay, so you see the hamza here is having what? The A sound. So when we teach students in the program, you don't say alif, hamza fata a. You say a. That's how you pronounce it. So the a plus hamza, it's gonna be a. This is gonna be ba sound, right? Ba. This is gonna be ta, right? Because the sound on top of it, or the sound it has, is the a sound, right? This is a tha. So that way, kids able to learn, students able to learn right away how to pronounce reading, not spelling. This really delay a lot of students, and the worst part of it, many teachers are not really patient to explain to kids how it looks like. The kids memorize and they don't even know how to implement on their own, right? So this is the biggest challenge. So you might think, oh, your child is learning Fatha, Kesra, Dhamma. It's not about just learning it. Are they really able to explain it and able to understand how to do it themselves in other part of the word of the Quran, right? So this ha sound, right? You see, I'm not spelling that. This is a kha sound. So this is a kha, but it has a fatha. It's gonna be kha, right? When you say it. This is a dal, it has the fatha. It's gonna be da, okay? The, ra, za, sa. So that's how to teach, and this is really the biggest challenge a lot of kids are having learning the Quran. And, our ability to get a student to recite in 4 months is not magic. It's not, like it's just the system which is consistent, which is really optimized. So students do not have to waste time learning to spell. They get to read right away. Okay. So sha, this is gonna be sha, so, do, do, tho, ah. And that's how they learn, and that's how you should be learning the Quran. So this is gonna be ah. So you don't gonna be saying if you keep saying alif fatah for forever, then you're not even gonna know how to spell. So this is ah sound, right? Ah. This is ra. You see, that's why I said earlier that some letters having fatha, it's instead of them being ga, it's not gonna be ga. All right, because the ra is a letter of the ra, ra, right? And this is gonna be fa, qa, right? Letter is a letter of qa is also part of the huruf al-khafdi, meaning the heavy letters, right? This is ka, right? This is gonna be la, this is gonna be ma, and this is gonna be na, ha, wa, ya. Let's see that. So the Quran Tajweed letters, I keep saying this all the time. They are 29. So you can say or hear people saying the Arabic letters are 28, but in the Tajweed of the Quran, Hamza and Alif are different two letters. I keep saying this because people used to say they're the same. It's not. There are different two fonts of Quran, printing that's really common. Two fonts. I'm not talking about different, writing fonts, right? The way the writing is done. In the Indo-Pak font, you'll see them putting alif to represent Hamza. And so anytime alif is having a fatha or it's having a kasra, or it's having a dhamma, no, at that point, the alif is not the normal alif that you know. It's called the aliful wasli or hamzatul wasli. So you learn this later on, inshallah. So we have two kind of hamza. We have hamzatul qata' and hamzatul wasl. So the hamzatul qata', right? So just to repeat that again, we have two kind of hamza. We have hamzatul qata' and hamzatul wasli. So hamzatul qata' is the normal hamza that you see all the time. That have like like looks like going, right? That doesn't have a dot. So that is hamzatul qata'. That one can exist on its own on a letter without a letter. It can be on its own and have a sound to be pronounced with. The second kind of hamza is called the hamzatul wasli, or it's called aliful wasli. Okay, so it can be called hamzatul wasli or aliful wasli. So that aliful wasli is the one that you'll see in the Indo-Pak font when you have to recite the Quran and you see it alif only having a fatha or alif only having a kasra. It's not the normal alif, it's called the aliful wasli or Hamzatul Wasli. It's like a Hamza in disguise, but it's called Aliful Wasli. Okay. So let's go and check. So all the examples. So now, once you're able to identify the sound on your own and pronounce each letter with the sound, so it now goes to now pronouncing words. Like you remember, 2 weeks ago we talked about the naughty letters. We call them the non-connecting letters. Some people say, why do you call them naughty? Naughty, unless you have something bad in your heart. I'm not talking about naughty or anything. I'm talking about naughty in English, meaning, someone that's actually, really stubborn, like stubborn, not getting along. That's the meaning of naughty, right? Stubborn, not getting along, right? So these letters you see on the screen, many of them are not getting along with other letters, meaning they're not connecting. They don't connect. So they're actually naughty and really stubborn, right? And that's why they call them stubborn or naughty letters. They do not connect to things after them. See, this is a word here, da'ama. But guess what happened here? The da'ama is really nice. It's no connection. So it's so pretty easy to recite this word for a beginner or a student that's just learning. It's really hard. It's really easy. So they're not stretching and stressing much to identify the letters. It's pretty basic how they look like on their own. So now, how do you pronounce this? And this is how kids start learning by week 4 in the program here. Imagine that you start pronouncing words. So if you start pronouncing words by 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, you're already reading ayat of the Quran yourself and able to do it. I have kids who have been in a program, they want to teach their parents, or parents are even learning to tajweed from them. So this is something you also want to actually have your child to do. Do not delay it, do not prolong it. If it's a goal you have in mind, we have different priorities in life. So if your priority right now is just for your child not to learn the Quran, it's not a priority for you right now for them to learn. That's your own. Of course, Allah will ask you about what you've done for them in their own youthful age. So you're gonna account for that on your own. But if you really wanted to learn and get them to recite themselves and build confidence, it's you that have, the decision to make to get them learn in this kind of learning system. So just comment below this video if you're interested, so we'll be to reach out to you to share with you details of our kids program. But if you want to join the self-paced course, so you can actually have your kids watch the video and without having to go to YouTube. So they're going to download an app which will help them learn without going to YouTube. They can watch the video lessons as I'm explaining right here, but it's more detailed in that course, and they have a quiz after the lesson video to watch to practice, so you can know if they're actually learning. They're gonna get a quiz, and the score is gonna be on their portal, and they have homework to do practice and as well. So you get all details in that course if you really want to get started. It's still very cheap, right? $47 for lifetime access to it. It's a self-paced. I'm not gonna be having to be online with you. The videos are there, and all other things that I need to use are there as well. Okay, so how do you pronounce this? So this will be da'ama. So you have these three letters, and they're all having the a sound. Da'ama, da'ama. You see, you're already pronouncing words. Aroza, aroza, daroha, zara'a, daraja. So you know the sound the letter will have when it has a fatha. So instead of spelling, you pronounce it right away. Daraja, razaqa, warada, wadaqa, za'ama. Okay, you see that? And then like all those examples, I'm gonna pause and how screenshot this or take your time to practice reading this as well. So screenshot this and pause this and practice reading this, or have your kid who's already reciting the Quran to actually read this. So to challenge their brain and challenge their ability. So have your child, if you're actually listening to me with your child, screenshot this point and have your child to recite it to see if they've actually learned, understand what we explained today, or to actually check their level as well. So going down to when the letters are joined together, and this is where you actually need to implement many of the rules we've learned for the last 2 weeks, the joining of the letters and the difficult letters lesson. Of course, this is really pretty easy. You still know the letters combination of the word. Well, this is just, putting a child, a student into like easy, from easy to hard, right? So here, this is gonna be akala. This is gonna be akala. This is gonna be ba'atha, taraka. You see, there's a ra. It's not connecting to the letter after it. ثبت جهر حمل ختم دخل. You see the dal is not connected to the kha because it's a not a letter. It's not going to connect to the letter that comes after it. Okay, and so now you see this is a kasra, the same thing. So when you practice reciting letters with the e sound, you're going to have E. So E, B, T, C, G, H, H, D, V, R, Z, C. You see that? And then she, C, D, D, Z, I, G, Fi, Qi, Ki, Li, Mi, Ni, Hi, We, Ji. You see, this is how you learn and to get a recite on time. Okay, and now there's an exercise right now that's gonna combine both the A and the E sound together. Okay, Irama. You see this? This is still pretty easy. We give this example of what combination the word has. Irama, habita. Okay, khalati. Right, ajida, rahima, sakhita, radifa, adina. Right, adina. So you see how it looks so smart? Like you can recite really quick, really very fast. Okay. And then these are practice. I want you to pause as well at a point and have your kid recite this. Like if you've been with me for the last 2 weeks, go check the videos on this channel and watch the lessons live session from last week about the difficult letters practice. Watch the one from previous week about the naughty letters and letters that do not connect. And watch the one from the 3 weeks ago to know the letters shape if you're actually a beginner. Or better still, you can have everything without having your child to go to YouTube. YouTube is so distractive. You can have a child watching this on YouTube and they get distracted. So instead of that, you can get access to the Quran Fluency Accelerator class that will not take them to YouTube. It's going to get them to read and learn and practice right in a learning portal that's not connected to YouTube at all. Okay. So this will be what? Ya Isa. You see, there's a Hamza. Ya Isa. This is going to be Ya Isa. This is Habita. This is Atiha. Right? So I'm going to leave this to you, right? And practice yourself. So go to learn about the rules of the Dhamma. Okay, so practice this as well and practice at the end of the session. You practice all this. So this is what our kids in 4 weeks and 5 weeks able to do in the program. So they're able to recite words right away and able to read ayat starting from the week 5. So this is exactly what your child is going to achieve as well. So the last short vowel sound, which is, and why are they even called short vowel sound? I have not asked that question to all of you. Why are they called short vowel sound? Why do we even call them short vowels? And the reason being that they stay very short on letter, just a second, very brief. We have the opposite of the short vowel sound called the the long vowel sound, which is the med. So the med makes a letter longer, so the letters sound for more than a count, for like 2 count, 3 count, 4 counts, to maximum of 6 counts. So the short vowel sound are distinct from the long vowel sound. The short vowel sound are you pronounce them briefly on letters within a second, all right, or a count. But the long vowel sound, they last longer in terms of the duration of pronouncing that word. It makes the sound of the word longer, starting from like 2 count, 4 count, 5 count, 6 count. You see that? So the short vowel sound are three, meaning they get to pronounce briefly on letters and so very, very quick. So, and they are alif, the fatha, the kasra, the dhamma. All right, say dhamma. So now let's talk about the dhamma and let's see how it works. So next week we'll still continue on this module. We have some key things to learn aside from understanding the short vowel sound. We need to understand how to stop on them. So we'll learn that next week. So stay tuned and join me as well next week. So this is gonna be u, bu, tu, thu, ju, hu, khu, du, zu, ru, zu, su, shu, su, right? Bu and tu, right? So these are letters of the Quran. Okay, let's check another one here. This is zu, ru, fu, u, ku, lu, mu, nu, hu, wu, you. And then this is how we actually teach kids in the classes. You know, by the fifth week, they can read the words with all the short vowel sound themselves. That's pretty amazing. So if you're really excited, these are practices you can actually try out. Now you've learned how to pronounce the letters with those short vowel sounds. So you can practice this and do a lot of practice. And this is something that we do good in the program. So kids do not just learn in the classroom, they have a revision session. They also have homework like this to read and practice themselves. So if you're really interested getting started for a child, and so your child, no matter how old they are right now, at least if they're 5 years old, they can learn to get to recite themselves in just 4 months or less, right? So let's get started. Join us in the program, and you'll be able to do a lot and get to recite, and your child can learn to recite pretty much faster. And so join me next week, inshallah, which we're gonna be learning the rules. That's gonna be the second edition of this topic. We're learning about the short vowel sound. So we'll be reading some examples and we'll be learning about the rules of stopping on those words, inshallah, the rules of waqf, inshallah. We ask Allah to make this beneficial to you all. So let's see next week, inshallah, join us. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك ونشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت ونستغفرك ونتوب إليك